All right. So as I said, today we are with the main topic of Facebook for beginners. And as I said, we're going to look into some of the basic insights that I think that you should be looking at quite on a regular basis. You know, these will help determine what your content will be and also will help you plan out when this content should be going out. So if you're not already using your insights, I urge you to actually start doing it. And I'll just go through a couple of things with you first, and then I'll show you exactly where to find these bits and pieces of what I'm telling you about today. So why do you want to do it? You know, big one straight up is obviously tracking what actually works. So, you know, there's no point putting a piece of content out there that doesn't get you engagement. It's not reaching people. It's not doing anything. And if you keep doing it, your page is just going to sit there and it's just going to be stale. It won't work. So we need to track what is working so that we can do more of that. So it's a big plus, obviously. It's also good to see how people interact with your posts. So we can see if they're commenting, if they're liking, if they're sharing, what is it they're actually doing. So these insights are really important because, again, it tells us what our audience really wants from us. And you can see what works because you'll get more engagement on things that don't. And you can clearly see it. And I'll show you in a moment what that will look like. And then, of course, over time, as you get to know your audience and as you get to know what you're reading in your posts and so forth for your insights, you will then start to do better posts because you're thinking about what your audience actually wants rather than what you think they want, because you'll soon clearly see with those insights that you're looking at what will be working. So, and then over time, as you start to implement those changes, you will see the results over time. It's definitely something that's not going to happen overnight. It will be a period of time. Some pages, however, depending upon your audience, it might happen quickly. But others who have got a small audience base, trying just to get that mesh, get that information out there, it may just take that a little bit longer. But don't worry, it will happen. I can guarantee you it will happen because I have done it and it works. So what should we be looking for? So the first one, the biggest one out of all of them is your engagement. So you need to be making sure that you're getting post engagement. There is no point putting something out there if no one is interacting with it. So when I say engagement, they're the three things. So likes, comments, and shares. So like is great because they're obviously seeing the post and they're liking it. A comment or a share, though, those are the 2 points that we really need to get moving. So engagement in that respect is the absolute best you can possibly get. Comments, because people are physically going and typing something in. Now, unfortunately, you probably will have a keyboard warrior or two out there that might say something that's not a nice, or they might come through and give you a bit of a negativity. But you get those, brush them off, unless it's something you need to block or hide or even ban for that matter. But just take them on take them on the chin and keep going, because there's always someone out there who just thinks that they're going to add their 5 cents worth in. Now, sharing on a post is obviously a big deal because someone has thought about going, right, this is something I really want all of my friends and family or all of my followers to potentially see. So this is a really big part of engagement. So if you can get those last 2, comments and shares on a post, that's awesome. You're really starting to move forward. So that's definitely the first part that I would be looking at. The next one is reach. So how far is your post actually getting? So where is it getting to, basically? So how far is that reach? And then the other one of that is impressions. So you've got reach versus impressions. So reach is how far or how many people it's getting to. And impressions is how many times it's seen. And it could also mean that it's being seen by by one person multiple times. So you might see a post and go, oh, I really like that post, but you keep coming back to it. That's your impressions. So generally what you'll find in when you're looking at your results, your impressions normally are higher than your reach, because reach is just looking at individual users and impressions are looking at how many times. So a good indication, if you're getting a lot of impressions versus reach, that's a very good indication that you're doing well in your content, because basically they're coming back. They're coming back to see what you've actually written or what you've shown them. They want to learn more. They're all coming back and asking a question or whatever the case may be. So if you can get a balance where your impressions are quite much higher than your reach, again, you're on a winner. It's meaning that you've got thoughtful content that's happening and they want to know more, basically. The other one is your followers. So you may have read or heard that Facebook is about to get rid of likes on your page. It's not a big deal. I, for one, think it's a much better way to have followers rather than just a like, because the way they did it before is a like is just a like. It's not necessarily going to be things that they're going to be seeing in their feed. Whereas followers, if they're interacting with your page and your posts, then every time that you do something, your information will pop up into their feed. So much better in the followers side of things anyway. And that's going to be slowly rolled out over the next month or so. You'll just suddenly see that likes will not appear on your page anymore. It'll just be followers. Now, one thing to note though, if at the moment your likes are higher than your followers, we need to turn that around so that your followers are higher than your likes, because basically they are not transferring any likes across as followers. So if you've got, for instance, 5,000 likes, but only 4,000 followers, we've got a gap there of 1,000 potentially of people who are not going to see your stuff anymore. So if that's the case, I would start putting some posts out there just to say, hey, did you know Facebook is dropping likes and, you need to follow us or something like that. And I have noticed that some pages now are not giving you the ability to do one or the other anymore. So we noticed that last week when we had a look at this last week in another session, and they are slowly getting rid of the two different ones that are sitting on your page. So if you can't see the two different ones on yours, it means it's already rolled out on your page. There's no rhyme or reason to who gets it first. It's just, they're just rolling it out. I believe it's just random. So just keep an eye on that. So followers are important so that we can see. Now, I always get the question, I've got 10,000 followers, woohoo, that's great. But what's your engagement like on your posts? If you're not getting any engagement, you've got a problem. I would rather 1,000 followers with high engagement than 10,000 followers and no engagement. So you need to look at what's going on or potentially what's going wrong. If you've got a high follower rate, but then not a very good engagement rate, we've got a problem. And it's, that's something that you would need to rectify over time with your content that you actually put out there. Or it could even be looking at the audience. I'll give you a quick example. I've got not a client myself, but a colleague of mine with a client who's got 20,000 followers on a page with really no engagement on the post, so very little. So they might get a few likes, they might get a few comments and shares, and that's about it per post, and sometimes maybe none on posts. So we went and had a look at the audience, and lo and behold, the audience was dramatically from the Indian area. So, one thing can lead to another there. So previous people who were looking after that page, I would probably hazard a guess a few years back, they probably bought some followers, which is a big no-no, which then will have some issues with your engagement. So with that, we have to over time try and get rid of those people who are not actually true followers. So when you have a look at it, they've got 20,000 at the moment, but they really only have about a good 7,000 or 8,000 true followers on that page. So we need to do some culling. Now that takes some time, and there are ways to do it, but it is something that we need to do to clean up that page and try and get that engagement back. So it's a bit of a process, but it is definitely a possibility. Okay, now the last point is your referral traffic. Now, you don't see referral traffic on your Facebook. This is your referral traffic in your Google Analytics. So this will definitely be an area that is something that if you haven't got your Google Analytics already connected, make sure it is. Most of you do with your website though. Go and have a look at the social referral traffic that you're getting, because if your posts are doing what they're meant to be doing with driving traffic to your website, you should see a really good referral rate sitting in there in your Google Analytics. So I would definitely keep an eye on that as well. So they're the main things basically that I potentially would, as a beginner or as someone who is maybe time poor, for instance, that I would be looking at. Is obviously a hell of a lot more information there to go and find, but I want to just quickly show you where to find this information before we go any further. All right, so hopefully you can see that screen. That's my Facebook page in front of you. Just nod someone so I can see. Ah, good. All right, so I'm just going to quickly show you the back end of this particular page. So when you want to look at your insights, it's down on this left-hand navigation bar, and you just click on your insights. And then this left-hand navigation bar will give you a lot of information about where to go and what to look at and so forth, right? So the ones that I was just talking to you about, you've got your followers sitting here. So this will give you a timeline of your followers so you can clearly see. And what you can also do, let me just move my little bar out the way. Over here, you can do certain dates. If you want to go and have a look what last month was like, you can just go and put in from the 1st to the 31st, and it will automatically update that for you. So you can see across the month, you can see the steady growth across the month with the followers, for instance. So you can do that, and you can do that as far back as you need to. So if you want to do a comparison, they won't physically let you do a comparison here, but you can go grab the data, have a look at it, then go back and have another look at another month, for instance. So you've got the ability to move within there for you. And if you just scroll down slightly, you can see here, you can see your followers versus your unfollows. So I'm really happy about this particular page. You can see that I've got minimal unfollows versus what I'm actually getting against it in followers. So that basically is telling me, yes, I'm going to lose people. And look, I don't lose sleep over it, because sometimes your page is not for everybody. Or it could be that maybe you held a competition, you've got a lot of followers because of it, but now you're going to have that natural attrition afterwards. So don't worry about losing followers. However, I would worry if your unfollows was a lot higher than your follows. So just be careful and watch that on a regular basis. So you'll see here, you'll get some unfollows versus follows over the period of the time that you're looking at. So as I said, don't stress. Then you can see here, down a little bit further, you can see where they actually happened. So you can see that it's happened from a page suggestion versus uncategorized desktop. I would just assume that it's just coming from a browser somewhere. It's sometimes the explanations are not very good. You've got page suggestions as well. So when someone has actually suggested the page to follow, you've got that there too. And then you've got your actual search. So someone's found you and then followed you. So they're your different stats that you can see across the month as well. So that's your follows. Now, for the time being, you can still see your likes here on the left-hand side. So same scenario. So you've got your dates here that you can chop and change. You've then got the sliding scale, where they've come, how they've liked you or unliked you, and then where they've come from again. So all good information, and again, something that you should probably look at. Now, the other one I wanted to show you is the engagement, the reach, and the impressions that I mentioned before. So you just click on the posts in your left-hand side. And then if you just scroll down, I'll come back to this topic in a minute. If you scroll down, these are all your posts. So here you can see the type of post. So this one's a photo, this one's a video, this one had a link involved, and so forth. So you can see exactly what they were. The targeting is just with everybody at this stage, because they are not a boosted post or an ad at this point. So you can just see they're all just public posts. Now this is the big data. This is the stuff we want to know. So there's your reach. So here you can see getting fairly good consistent reach across the board for most of the posts, but every now and again it spikes. So in this particular case, this one worked. So I can guarantee you that, from looking at this one, I'm really happy with the results on that one. Obviously, who wouldn't be? And there was no paid behind it. So this is all organic that's happening here with this particular post. So you can see pretty well on average, there's some really good data there when you have a look at the posts. Some things are lower than others. And sometimes you can expect that, because if you know what the post was about, you can go, yeah, I know I had to put it out there because it was a notice or it was an update of some description, but you may not get as good reach with it or even engagement with it. And that's fine, because sometimes you've just got to suck it up and do it. And then you can see here on this side, you've got your engagement. So you've got the little blue one is your post click. So they've clicked on the post to make it bigger and to have a look at it. And then your little purpley sort of color, this is your reaction. So your comments, your shares, and your likes are sitting here. So again, you can see what's worked and what hasn't. So some are better than others. And there's that same one with excellent engagement on that particular post. So really happy. And then, across the board, you can see, not too bad. So where the ones that are a bit lower, I'm going, okay, so maybe I need to rethink that particular piece of content, or maybe the visual wasn't good enough, or it could have been the caption wasn't reading properly. So these are the things to look for. And it's really important to keep an eye on these so that you know what's working, like I was saying before. So really, really interesting area. Now up here, you've got a little drop-down box. You can see here with some different layout options. So the first one was the one I was just looking at. This one will just show us, this one will show more prominent around the reactions. This one will be post hide. So if anybody's decided to hide the post for whatever reason, so you can see there was a few people that have hidden them. I don't know why they would do it, but they have. They just didn't want to see it. And you can also see the unlikes of the page at this time as well. Oops, sorry. And then the last one is the engagement rate. So it gives you a percentage rate of the engagement. So this is not unusual. This is the percentage against your reach. That's how they work it out. And those sort of numbers are not too bad. That's pretty much what Facebook has been telling us for the last couple of years, that the reach and the engagement of your audience is sitting probably around about 3-4%. So if you're getting around that, then that's excellent. So big tick for you, because you're reaching that potential people that that Facebook is saying that we're getting to. So it's working quite well. So from here, I just wanted to show you this other bit up the top here. This is when people are online looking at your posts or looking at your page. Now, one big item that you need to just be aware of is that it's always in Pacific time zone. So it's about, I think I worked it about, it's about 14 or 15 hours behind us. So what you're seeing here is not reflective of our time zone, but you can sort of work out it works about the same. Generally, people are online in the morning, that breakfast period up till about 9 or so o'clock. Lunchtime, you'll get a spike. And then at dinner time, from about 5 onwards, you'll probably see another spike. So this particular big dip here is obviously when they're asleep in the US, not for us. So that's opposite. So if you could sort of give yourself a bit of an overlay there and try and think opposite to what's in front of you. I know it's a little bit hard, and it's quite annoying that they do it, and I don't know why they just don't set it up with all time zones, but maybe it's an algorithm thing. I don't know. You never know what Facebook is trying to achieve these days. So anyway, all right, so what I want you to do from here is I want you to go and check those parts of your insights that I've just mentioned today on your posts. And if you can, create yourself a simple spreadsheet. Look at this month's data and have a look at your reach, your impressions, your engagement, and your followers, and just create a very simple spreadsheet and do it by month. And have a look over the months as you go and see what you can do for improvement. Have a look at it and then monitor that so you can go, right, this is what I'm going to do for my posts from now on, and you've got a whole new plan of attack ahead of you. So just give it a go. It's an area that you can just go and have a look at. You don't have to worry about breaking it, because you won't. Just go and pull reports, go and change your dates, go and look at different things and get used to it. That's the best piece of advice I can give you basically around it. Okay, so that is the presentation for the insights that's done. So let's have a look at some questions. Thank you very much and I'll see you tomorrow or not. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.